In this video, I'm going to talk about how to go from zero to rich in Bitcoin. In the last video, I spoke about what you need to remember when you're trying to multiply your income. And I spoke about how there's a lot of news that comes out on a daily basis and a weekly basis and all that sort of thing that you don't need to be worried about, such as the FOMC meeting where they decided not to change the interest rates in America, and how all that news doesn't really matter to you because you're just trying to multiply your income, and that is not going to affect Bitcoin price over the long term. So yeah, that sort of news doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to take you from zero to rich in Bitcoin. I'm going to try and build this journey for you because I assume that you may not have any Bitcoin at the moment. Even if you do, it is still going to apply because I'm going to give you a lot of tips that you can use to help you along on your path to get to rich in Bitcoin, because there's probably a lot of ideas out there in Bitcoin about how people got rich. They just got lucky with it, or this type of stuff that they got in early. And some people think that if you are trying to buy Bitcoin at the moment that you're too late. That is not the case. What I'm going to tell you is that you can still get rich with Bitcoin. Obviously, it is going to go up a lot more in price from here. That may not be obvious to you, but I am telling you it is. It's going to go up a lot more in the next couple of years. Over the long term, the Bitcoin price is always going to go up. The Bitcoin price goes along a 4-year cycle. If you were not aware, it goes up in price for about 3 years and then it falls in price for about 1 year. That is the general idea with the 4-year cycle. Obviously, this could change, and this could change a bit, but I would say it is still going to overall generally follow the 4-year cycle because you have the Bitcoin halving, and I believe that this structures the cycle in that the supply and demand will be sort of built into the 4-year cycle. So I won't get too complicated into those sort of things before I take you through this journey that I'll try and build for you. So I'm going to assume that you're working a job. You're probably getting paid once a month or once every 2 weeks. What I would suggest doing is when you get paid, decide on an amount of money that you can afford to put into Bitcoin if you want to obviously invest in Bitcoin. You can go ahead and download an app if you want. Like, this is all only if you want to go ahead and invest in Bitcoin. I'm assuming that you are interested in investing in Bitcoin, so you want this plan and this journey that I'm going to build for you. First thing you need to do is you need to download an exchange from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, whichever you have. You can download something like Coinbase. It doesn't have to be Coinbase, but they are one of the biggest ones. I'm not saying Coinbase is perfect, and Coinbase could potentially have issues in the future, but at the moment, it is one of the biggest exchanges. An exchange is just something where you can buy Bitcoin. You can convert your fiat currency, which would be the euro or the dollar, whatever it is you are using, and convert that over to Bitcoin. Then you can hold that Bitcoin on the exchange. When I say hold it on the exchange, it just means that you can see it there on the screen of your phone, sitting on the exchange in your account. At that point, it's important to remember that that cryptocurrency is not fully yours. Technically, it is still on the wallet of the exchange. All cryptocurrency has to be in a wallet at some point. When it is on the exchange, it is in the wallet, the cryptocurrency wallet of the exchange. So if the exchange crashes or it has technical issues or anything like that, you won't be able to access it. There are things you can do to prevent losing a large amount of money if you have it on the exchange. I just make that point because I think when people talk about exchanges, sometimes they forget that the exchange still has a lot of control. They have the control because the money or the cryptocurrency is in their wallet. Until it is on a wallet that you fully control, and there are other types of wallets you can get, until it is on a wallet that you fully control, it is not fully yours. Because when you want to move the cryptocurrency that is on the wallet of the exchange, you have to essentially ask that exchange, will you move it for me? Because when you press move or send or whatever, or sell on that exchange, you are asking the exchange to do that for you. They'll then go ahead and process the request to take that action. I don't want to go too far into that point, but I just think it's important to say that because I don't want you to be shocked if the exchange has a technical issue and it says the exchange won't be accessible for a few hours due to maintenance or something. We'll be back in a few hours. Usually it gives you a message on the screen if something like that happens. There are other types of wallets you can get to store your cryptocurrency where you have the full control. Having made that point, you're probably asking the question, when is the best time to buy Bitcoin? I think that's something a lot of people will ask when they're getting started in cryptocurrency. When's the best time? When's the best time to buy it? Should I buy now or should I wait a few months? This is a short-term mindset. And I think it is the wrong mindset if you are trying to get wealthy over the long term. Bitcoin is going to go up over the long term. Bitcoin follows a 4-year cycle. It will generally go up in price gradually over a 3-year time frame, and then over 1 year it will fall in price and the 4-year cycle will reset. When it goes up for 3 years gradually, there is a lot of volatility in the price. The price will go up a lot on one day and then the next day it might fall some, and this can be hard to process for some people because they don't know why the price is going up a lot, why the price is falling a lot. This can be a problem for some people because they're not used to the volatility in Bitcoin, but it's important to remember the fundamentals of Bitcoin. When I was starting out in Bitcoin, I remember the price would have obviously been very volatile, as it still is. And what I did is I focused on learning about the fundamentals of Bitcoin. And through this, I realized that all of this volatility doesn't matter over the long term. People who are worried about the price going up and the price falling don't have a long enough term mindset. You need to see that over the long term, over the course of multiple years, the Bitcoin price will always be gradually going up in price. And yeah, obviously there will be drawdowns where the price could even fall 50, 60, 70% in the bear market, which happens once every 4 years. That has happened before, even as much as 80%. It's the 4-year cycle resetting. And you might say, why does it fall so much every 4 years? The reason for it is because you have the Bitcoin halving happens every 4 years. And this reduces the daily supply of Bitcoin in half once every 4 years. This causes a supply shock sometime after the Bitcoin halving, and a supply shock causes the Bitcoin price to rise a lot over the course of a couple of months. When this happens, it draws a lot of new people into the market who were never involved in cryptocurrency before. They see that all cryptocurrency assets are going up a huge amount in price. They think they can jump in, make some money, jump out again, and forget about cryptocurrency forever. When this happens and a lot of new people jump into the market who were never in cryptocurrency before, the Bitcoin price will go up more than it usually would have, depending on just the Bitcoin halving situation and the supply and demand. This huge run up in price causes the market after a while to realize that the Bitcoin price is gone too high for what it really should be at this current time, due to the Bitcoin halving situation. When the price goes up a huge amount like that, after a while, as I say, the price will start to fall again, depending on how many new people get involved in the market. This means how much the Bitcoin price will go up more than it should have been for that time. When the market overall realizes that the Bitcoin price is gone too high, the Bitcoin price will then start to fall for that following year. And it happens every 4 years. We saw it in 2017, we saw it in 2021, and in 2025, it's beginning to happen again. It happened also in 2013, but 2013 was very early in Bitcoin's lifetime. So it was really hard to judge at that time what was happening. But in 2017, 2021, and again now in 2025, and then again, obviously in 2029, we will see this big run up in price. And it's hard to say exactly the numbers of where the price will go. It's more of a timeline thing. The price over the 4-year cycle, there is a lot of volatility, so you can't predict exactly what price the Bitcoin price will go to. It just depends really somewhat on how much retail investors get into the market, and retail investors are just people who are not long-term investors. They're just people who have jumped into the market recently because they see prices going up a lot and they want to make some fast money. If you're working a job and you have spare money and you want to invest in Bitcoin, you can put some into Bitcoin once a month, and you can do that every month with no plan of stopping that. This would be called a DCA strategy. That is short for a dollar cost average strategy. A dollar cost average strategy is just where you take an equal amount of your fiat currency and put it into Bitcoin at equal time frames. So you might put in X amount of money or fiat currency into Bitcoin on the first of every month, every single time. That would be a dollar cost average strategy, because you're not worrying about what the price is. You're just buying Bitcoin on a DCA strategy. Anyone who has ever bought Bitcoin and held it for 4 years has never been in a loss. Another way of saying that is anyone who bought Bitcoin and held it for 4 years has always been in a profit. That will give you an idea of how the 4-year cycle works. People who lost money in Bitcoin sold their Bitcoin. That's the problem. They're accepting a loss because they're worried about the price going down even more. If I was to try and give you one takeaway in this video, it would be to have a long-term mindset for Bitcoin. Have a long-term time preference. You're not planning on selling it next month, in 3 months. You're going to hold it for a few years. Even if someone bought previously at the very, very peak of the 2013, the 2017, or the 2021 bull market, the absolute highest price possible in the bull markets of those years, and they held it for 4 years, they would have been in profit because of the way the 4-year cycle works. The 4-year cycle will have a peak every 4 years. The 4-year cycle will have a low point every 4 years, roughly speaking. It has happened the whole way through. It has happened ever since Bitcoin was created. It gives us an idea of how we can plan our investing journey in Bitcoin over the long term. You buy Bitcoin on a DCA strategy, and you don't worry about whether the price has gone up, whether the price has fallen, for how long it's going to keep going up, how long it's going to keep falling. This doesn't matter. If you do a DCA strategy and you continue to do that, you'll do well. There's 2 other things you need to focus on. So the 3 things I would get you to focus on is your DCA strategy. That's the first thing. Just learn how to buy a small amount of Bitcoin. You don't have to jump in and buy an entire Bitcoin. Absolutely not. Some people think you need to buy an entire Bitcoin that's €100,000 and you need to go straight in and buy that. Not the case. You can buy a very small amount of Bitcoin, and I would say to do that if you want to. Just a small amount to learn the process of how it all works. Next thing you need to focus on is learning the fundamentals of how Bitcoin works. This is going to prepare you for the volatility of the market. Volatility will really be there for a long time into the future. The price is always going to be going up and then falling depending on daily market news. The other thing that you need to focus on is learning how to store your Bitcoin safely. Spend time researching this. You don't have to be a technical genius. You just need to spend some time figuring it out. Over the long term, it will put your mind at ease that you have it stored safely and you don't need to be worried about anything going wrong. When I started out, I read a couple of books on Bitcoin, and that put me in a great place to understand how Bitcoin works. But these 3 things are going to help you get rich over the long term. I spoke about not having a short-term mindset because this is the main reason people lose money in Bitcoin, because they see the price going up for a bit and it's fantastic, they're happy. Then the price starts to fall because we will always have volatility in the market for a very long time into the future anyway. They can't take that volatility, so they just end up selling their Bitcoin, and then they might have sold at a loss because they didn't want to incur any more losses. So they were afraid of the price falling even more, and they just sold their Bitcoin. And then after a while, the Bitcoin price starts going up again and the price goes way higher than the point that they actually sold it. But at that point, they've forgotten all about Bitcoin and they're probably not even looking at the price of it. So they don't realize that they took the wrong decision there in selling their Bitcoin. The main reason as to why they sold their Bitcoin is they didn't do that research into looking into Bitcoin fundamentals. If you looked into why Bitcoin is a good store of value and a good asset to hold, if they didn't look into those things, then they don't really know why they're holding Bitcoin. They don't know why the price will go up over the long term. You need to understand why the Bitcoin price will go up over the long term against fiat currency. Things such as inflation. Inflation is just where basically the central banks are printing more fiat currency and they're sending more money into the system, and that is inflating the currency. Bitcoin doesn't inflate the same way our fiat currency does. If you get a really good understanding of why inflation is a problem with fiat currency and why Bitcoin was built not to have that same problem as fiat currency does, then you won't be worried about the volatility in the market. You will realize that it's just daily news that people are getting emotionally invested in, but over the long term, it just doesn't matter. Study Bitcoin fundamentals, study how to store your Bitcoin safely, and then a dollar cost average strategy is going to be probably the best idea for you if you want to buy Bitcoin and hold it over long term. Those three things are going to help you get wealthy in Bitcoin over long term.